you tell me about your character in the film and what excited you about it that made you want to be in it?
Well, the people involved, first of all, excited me about it, and then I read the screenplay, and that made me doubly excited. Are you familiar with the story?
Absolutely, I saw it today.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay, good. I've seen it a couple times as well. I love it. It's just such a cool human story that I don't think a lot of people know about. I've seen it a couple times. Everybody's surprised by the story, but I mean, Keaton's performance, John Lee, everybody does such a good job, and I hope it gets the attention it deserves.
And are you excited to bring the story about this American institution to life?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who didn't grow up on McDonald's, right? So that's one thing, but it's not so much about the brand, but the people involved and the story about the underdog, because I think everybody relates to that, and nobody does it better than Keaton.
And tell us about working with Michael Keaton.
Nicest guy ever. Actually, my father's an actor, and they did a movie together called The Dream Team in '89, I think. And so I remember him from when I was a kid, and I was a huge fan of Beetlejuice, which was just released, and so I was all over him when I was 7 years old, I think, at the time. And so it was just so nice to reconnect with him as an adult and make a scene with him.
You're excited to see the end product.
I am incredibly excited to see it.
And can you tell us who you played and what excited you about your role?
Sure.
Why you wanted to be there?
Absolutely. So I played Fred Turner, who was Ray Kroc's right-hand man, went from being a grill cook to operations vice president, and then ended up succeeding Kroc as the CEO of McDonald's. It was really exciting for me, obviously, to be a part of this cast and work with all of these incredible actors. I got to do several scenes with Michael Keaton, and this is my first feature, so for me that is obviously huge. And just telling a great American story like this is really exciting.
And what was it like to be on the set with Michael Keaton?
It was otherworldly, but at the same time, he kind of reminded me of my dad in a weird way. So, just the way that he talked to me and made me feel comfortable as an actor, and was very open to working and having fun and being free. It just felt. Also, I guess there's a bit of a father-son relationship with our roles, so. It just felt very natural and took all of the nerves away.
And it's exciting to bring this story of McDonald's, which is a huge American institution, to life.
Absolutely, and a story that people don't really know. You know, you just take it for granted, but when you actually watch this movie and realize what that guy did to make this corporation what it is, it's incredible.
Were you a little shocked by it?
I was, absolutely, yeah. And what's funny is that Fred Turner is the nicest guy you'll ever want to meet. You know, but he was also Ray Kroc's enforcer, so, you know. I got to work very briefly with Nick and John, and it was in a scene where Michael was talking to them on the phone, so they're in another room on an intercom, and so that's the closest I got to being in a scene with them. But it was really funny because nobody knew they could hear us, and we were joking around, and then suddenly Nick Offerman's voice comes over the intercom. That's not very funny.
Was he great to work with?
He was incredible to work with. Yeah, really great.
Tell me what excited you about this role and made you want to do this role.
Well, first of all, when the call came in, John Lee Hancock, Michael Keaton, and John Carroll Lynch were all mentioned on the first call. So that sounded pretty good to me. I then read the script, and I've always been a fan of the writing of Eric Schlosser, who wrote Fast Food Nation, and Michael Pollan, The Omnivore's Dilemma, and his other great food books. And so, you know, the fact that the McDonald's Corporation has this sort of secret, sordid history, I think it's really quite important that the world know how you achieve such a success. You know, that it is perhaps a consummation of the American dream, but there's a lot of dirty secrets involved. You know, it's not just good old American elbow grease. It's also screwing a few guys on your way to the top.
And were you excited to bring this section of the story that probably no one's ever heard of before this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, there's a lot. It's easy to look at the surface of capitalist giants and say, wow, what a heroic success you've achieved. But you don't have to dig too deeply generally to find that there's a lot of victims to that success. And so I think it's actually quite edifying for us all to learn that McDonald's had that going on from the very beginning, you know, that people were being thrown under Ray Kroc's bus.
Tell us about your character and what excited you about that character and made you want to be in it.
I played June Martino, Ray Kroc's secretary and assistant, and eventually became sort of the den mother of McDonald's. She's an amazing woman who came from very humble beginnings, became a WAC in World War II, didn't have much over a high school education as far as math goes, was able to train herself to the point that in the war she was helping with radar systems and radio communications and taught Morse code to pilots and stuff. And then of course she meets Ray, and she had no bookkeeping experience when he hired her, but everything is self-taught. And she had an amazing ability with people and with him, was very loyal to him, and also had an uncanny ability to help him sort of realize people that would be great in his organization. So I absolutely love getting the opportunity to play a very strong woman in a time where I like the fact, and I'm hoping that we're going to spend more time focusing on women who really made a difference. And she's one of the very first business pioneers, women, other than Queen Elizabeth II, she was the first woman to get to dine in the elite men's club at the New York Stock Exchange. But she really broke a lot of barriers, and I think she's amazing, and it was an honor.
And are you excited to bring the story of McDonald's, which is an American institution, to life?
Yeah, I am. I think it's a story about somebody who had a dream, who really went after it. I think that it will make us think how sometimes we might, when we get what we want, can we still stay true to who we are? Because sometimes power and greed can be very, they can have a lot of effect over us. But having said that, she loved him and I loved him, and we're all flawed individuals.
So tell me what excited you about this character that made you really want to be involved.
What I love about Harry Sonneborn is that he is an idea person. I love a great idea. That's my favorite thing to talk about with friends. I'm not an emotional guy as much as I am like, what if that, And so this kind of dreamer who really had a thought that was able to change the course of history, it was really fun for me to envision that, because I think a lot of people find that boring, just sitting in a chair and thinking of an idea, and that's where I come most alive.
Well, and it is a very interesting story. Are you glad that the iconic McDonald's story is finally out there? And what do you think of the twist of the story?
I think the story is inspiring. As dark as it is at points, I think that these are the contrasting dreams of different visionaries. A real small town quality pair of visionaries, the McDonald's brothers, and a truly genius inspired visionary, Ray Kroc, who correctly saw that this tiny hamburger stand was destined to be one of the biggest companies of all time. So the tension between those is what makes it a great movie and what makes it a painful story. But I think the genius of both sides is what makes it inspiring.
And what was it like working with Michael Keaton?
It was exciting. He's a guy who always seems distracted, and then he'll come right back to where he started, and you realize, oh no, he was just thinking about 5 different things at once. He wasn't actually going off topic.
What was it about this character that excited you and made you really want to be?
Well, it's a great story. It's a great American story. It's a classic American story. It says everything about, business and what business means and consumption and what we became. But honestly, just to simplify it, it's really entertaining. And this guy was really an amazing character, and a lot to admire in terms of his work ethic.
Can you tell me what it was about this story that made you want to do this project?
Well, first and foremost, it was Rob Siegel's script when I read it. I had never had an experience like that with a script before, because I was pulling hard for Ray Kroc in the first half, and then started having questions about it and felt a little complicit in his rise to power by the end. And I thought that was a really interesting and intriguing notion, and something I hadn't seen in a script or movie before. So I thought that was certainly a good reason to lean forward into it.
And this is a story not many people know. Are you excited to bring this story about this iconic institution out?
It's, I just think it's a good story, first and foremost. It was like, I didn't know stuff about it. I thought it was really cool and interesting. And I think it's one of those things, sometimes you go, wow, I didn't know that story. Other times you go, why didn't I know this story? And this is one of those why didn't I know this story kind of things.
And what makes Michael Keaton perfect to play Ray?
Well, I mean, there's certain things they share in terms of very hardworking Midwest guys with a forward lean who want to accomplish things and are very persuasive. So they have that in common. There are many things they don't have in common, but the main reason for Michael Keaton is he's a fabulous actor and somebody I'd wanted to work with forever. So.
And just one more question, what about Nick Offerman and
Oh,
John Carroll?
I had so much fun with Nick and John. They were just the best. They were who I wanted, for the McDonald's brothers. I wanted round-shouldered, all-American guys that were hard workers and had a great idea and were good dudes. And that's those guys.
So tell me what excited you about this role and why you wanted to be in the film.
First, I love John Lee Hancock. I worked on the first film. He wrote A Perfect World, and we became friends then, so I just love getting to be with him and be directed by him. And I love Michael Keaton. But I am very interested in the world of big food and what it's meant for Americans and Americans' healthcare, so it really interests me as a subject matter, and I think the story's told in a whimsical and irreverent way, but also can be hard-hitting if you look between the lines, and so that really interests me as we learn more and more how to take care of ourselves and support each other despite consumerism.
And so you must be excited that this story about this iconic institution is finally coming out there.
I'm really excited it's coming out there. Michael Keaton's performance is extraordinary. Not an easy role to play, and he brings, wit and rage and depth and heartbreak to it in such a brave and fascinating way, and I think tells a story that we're all too familiar with.
5 years ago, and to actually see this come to light after 5 years of waiting and hoping that it was going to get made, and to watch it be made last year and to actually make it to theaters now it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, it feels really good to see the whole thing come to pass. So.
And how do you feel about the film, having seen it?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I feel
great.
good about it. Yeah,
It's great. Yeah, Don kept his promise that he was going to stick true to the story, and it's very true to the story.
Tell me what it was like to watch Michael Keaton in the role.
He was unbelievable. One of the days of the shooting, it's just to watch how he really enveloped himself into the role of Ray Kroc. He did a great job. Everything down to the voice, he did a great job.
And what about Nick and John?
Nick Offerman did a great job playing our grandfather. Couldn't be happier.
How does the family feel about the film now?
I feel good about it. I mean, we're really proud about how it all came out. So.
We're really excited that the true story is actually being told of who actually founded McDonald's.
Can you tell me what excited you about this role and why you wanted to be in the film?
The screenplay was terrific. I mean, it was such a fast read. It felt so vibrant, and I love John Lee Hancock's work. I think he's terrific, and Michael Keaton is a wonderful actor to work with, and it had all the elements of a really great film, and I think it's turned into one. And as far as the relationships and the characters, Mac McDonald is such a good man in the film, and one that I really appreciated playing because he loves his brother so much. And it's a nice thing to be able to play that, really nice.
Yeah, I wanted to hug you through the whole film.
Oh, that's nice.
Can you tell me what you feel about playing this man that a lot of people don't know? Are you excited to bring his story out?
I'm really excited for people to see the way in which this company was created. It's ubiquitous, all over the world. No matter where you go, there's a McDonald's, and nobody really knows why. And now they will.
And what's it like to have Nick Offerman play your brother?
Well, it was a great moment where we started rehearsals and it felt like Nick and I had worked together for years. And I think he's a guy who just is so down to earth and so much himself and has such a unique voice as a person, as a writer, as a creator, that it was a lot of fun to be able to play his brother.
And what about working with Michael Keaton?
Well, I'd had the good fortune of working with Michael before, so it was great to work with him again. And I think that he gets, there's a lot of people who get credit for transformation, moments of transformation in their work. I'm going to turn off the chiming of my wife's phone. sick. And then I'll say that again. There's a lot of people who get credit for transformation in their work, where they kind of vanish. And I don't think he does get that credit, although I think he transforms from the inside. And I love actors who say, like, as he has done in his past, I'm Batman, and you go, yep, you're Batman. And now he's saying, I'm Ray Kroc, and you go, yep, you're Ray Kroc. I love that.
Tell me about the role that you played and why you were excited to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I played the 1950s McDonald's employee, and I was very excited to play it. It was a small role, but very pivotal. It's kind of the point where Michael Keaton, or Ray Kroc, decides this is a big thing, this is the future, and I was just very happy to be a part of that.
It was exciting to finally bring the story of McDonald's to life.
Absolutely. Everyone knows about McDonald's, so to be a part of it is fantastic.
Were you surprised at the way the story went?
A little bit. Tried to hold expectations and just hope for the best, but yeah.